Hey, welcome to Godly Business. I'm Frank Hernandez, and this is Godly Business, where godly business is good business. Hey, we're going to be talking about creating your own godly board of advisors for your business. And in most large corporations, there are the board of directors. These people make the decisions really for the president and the CEO of the direction of the company based upon their collective experience. But when you have a small business, you don't have a board of directors. You're going to have a board of advisors. And a board of advisors is that board that gives you advice on what you should be doing collectively, and you take the information from everybody around you in that circle of trust that you build, and you listen to their advice and come up with a plan that you're going to execute. Let me show you the biblical importance of this. We're going to start out reading in Proverbs 11:14. Now, the thing I like about Proverbs is that this isn't a list of do's and don'ts. This isn't law. There is actually no talk about the temple or religious or sacrifice or law really in the Proverbs. It is a collection of wisdom. And I think the wisdom is always applicable. The neat thing about Proverbs is that there's 30 Proverbs, 30 chapters. And you could literally read one proverb a day and throughout the entire month, start again and do it throughout the year and do it about 12 times. You will start gaining some perspectives from Proverbs that you've never had from any other book in the Bible. But let's look at 14 actually, and what it says. Where there is no counsel, the people fall. But in the multitude of counselors, there is safety. See, where there is no counsel, the people fall. How many times you see people just go into business and they didn't get any advice from an attorney or their accountant, or they didn't get any advice from anybody? They just went and did it and fell flat on their face. I know I've done it. I did it more than once, which is the sad part. So I hope I've learned something from my experiences of what it is that you have to do to set up a business correctly. I mean, you're young, you're energetic, you've got all these ideas, and you think your ideas are the greatest things since sliced bread and sliced cheese, and that you're going to be the next Facebook, and you're going to build the next, internet commerce infrastructure. You're going to be the next Amazon. I mean, those are great dreams. Unfortunately, it takes a lot of skill and a lot of money to pull that off. Pulling an Amazon today isn't the same as trying to pull one off 20 years ago when the internet was fresh. By the way, grab yourself a good cup of coffee. This is Dunkin' decaf. I love coffee. I just don't want all the caffeine. But I am addicted to the flavor of coffee, I have to admit. Being Cuban doesn't help. Growing up with lattes and espressos and Cuban coffee, I mean, you can feed those things to children. Today it would seem like illegal, but I grew up on that. So you need counsel before you launch, and even after you launch, you need counsel to grow, and you need counsel to expand, and to take your business to the next level. You're always going to need counsel. The question is, what level do you need it at, and from whom? So go to 1522, Proverbs. We're going to stay in Proverbs. We're going to make it real easy. Without counsel, plans go awry, but in the multitude of counselors, they are established. You need to run your plans through counselors. The problem is that you got a big ego and you don't want to hear the truth. You don't want to hear the fact that they're going to tell you you've got a pipe dream. This isn't going to work. And by the way, when I talk about counselors, I'm talking about people that have actually done this. I'm not talking about talking to your friends who have never built a business. Heck, they don't even have a college degree yet, or they don't even have a job. And you're wanting to build this business, and you're going to your friends and family asking for advice. The last thing you need is advice from people that have never done it. First of all, they don't have dreams like you have. They don't have goals like you have. You need to establish mentors in your life that have traveled that road before, know the pitfalls, know where the mistakes are going to be made, and help you in your business plan, in your planning, in your organizing, in your idea, to be able to mentor you and correct you when you're wrong. And you need to have a teachable spirit and a correctable spirit. It isn't that, well, I have this idea and I'm going to do it no matter what anybody thinks. I think that is foolishness. That's your ego talking, that you need to get that out of the way. And I think you need to go with a solid plan that you can execute. So in 1522, without counsel, plans go awry. But in the multitude of counselors, they are established. You see, it's about taking the collective wisdom and the collective experiences in each category. We're talking about accounting. You need a good accountant. And you need to talk to a lawyer. I'm meeting with my lawyer on Tuesday because we're needing contracts for a new termite business that we're launching. And as soon as I'm meeting with my lawyer, I'm meeting with a consultant in the industry who knows both the law and knows more of how to establish a workable business plan based upon the legal advice of those contracts to have them edited so that it works with my business model. But this guy is an entomologist. He has decades of experience. He's built his own companies. He was technical director. This guy has the experience and the street experience, not just the technical knowledge, to help me develop a good, solid program that's going to work, that's going to be customer centric. It's going to be in the best interest of the customer, not just what's profitable for me. You see, and then I got my accountant, which I talk to on an annual basis because we're not millions of dollars. But I started doing some diversifying now this year in my money. And I put a little bit in the stock market, and I put a little bit in my 401k, my Roth IRA, and I put a little bit in savings, and I learned from Profit First. You need to get that book, Profit First, about taking money out and paying yourself first and covering your future needs and the future profit and the needs of the company before you go spending all the money. You see, books are counselors. These are guys who have done it. They've built multi-million-dollar businesses. Get an Audible account. Start listening to books. I got about 198 books on my Audible. I listen to anywhere between 2 to 4 books a month. Getting counsel from multiple views. And then I find a common thread. What I learn is I find this common thread that's common among everything they're teaching, which is sound, practical. So a lot of times we want the illusion of what we're going to be able to do versus the sound practicality. So go with me to Proverbs 20. Proverbs 20, 18. Plans are established by counsel. By wise counsel, wage war. You're going to do this disruptive business model. Do you have the stomach to take on an entire industry and disrupt it and not care what your competition is going to think, but that the customer is out there for this model? It totally disrupts it. I mean, do you think Uber cared the fact that the black car industry, that the limousine industry was going to be upset because now everyone could have a limo? Do you think Uber was afraid of the legal ramifications of what they were trying to do because they were breaking up monopolies like the taxi industry? And they were going to have to wage war against the taxi industry, fight City Hall, and they knew they were going to have to do this because the laws were established. For instance, in the state of Florida, in order for you to own a limousine business, the law says that you have to have a limousine license by the state of Florida. Consumer Services. Do you have the money? Do you have the stomach to go to battle, to prove your point, and to win? In 2018, plans are established by counsel, by wise counsel, wage war. Are you going to be a wartime general, or are you going to be a peacetime general? Are you going to win through diplomacy? Are you going to win through, I'm going to go get this? Go to 24:6. Proverbs 24:6. Trying to prove a point here. For by wise counsel you will wage your own war, and by the multitude of counselors there is safety. In other words, what does your attorney say? What does your accountant say? How are you going to deal with the HR issues that you're going to need HR because you don't have HR experience? Where are you going to get the HR help? You need the HR if you're going to have a staff of people. What's legal? What's not legal? What's ethical? What's not ethical? What's moral? What's not moral? That's your compass in the Bible. The question is, can you surround yourself with people that have those values? I would say get yourself an attorney that is a believer. Because now you've got some perspective of where to have a discussion on the moral and ethical versus just the law. There are things that are legal that are not moral and unethical, but they're legal. Get with your accountant. Get with an HR person. Your marketing people. Man, if you're going to have SEO and marketing people, do you need people that have biblical ethics? Because you talk about an industry that has almost no, filters on ethics and what they are going to do, white hat versus black hat. Do you care? See, if you tell your guy, I don't care if you do black hat as long as you rank me, there's an ethical and moral problem with you. Can you separate that? And you shouldn't. What about your sales and your sales force? Are they going to tell the customer whatever just to get the sale because they're on commission and they got to sell? See, that's why we don't want in our company sales commission people. We want salaried people with bonuses for meeting milestones, but the customer and what's in the best interest of the customer is always going to come first. Not what's in the best interest of the salesperson to make a commission. Not what is in the best interest of the sales manager because he gets an override on sales growth. You got to be able to put filters. If you just care about the sale and you don't care what was said and what was done and what was promised, then you can't deliver it. Because the salesperson sold a job that the customer really didn't need that, but he made him think he did because he's a very good communicator and he's very convincing. He's high pressure. See, we need to ask for the sale. We need to tell the truth in marketing. We need to be able to educate our customer. We have to be able to say, yes, you do have a problem. Here are the pitfalls. Here's plan A, plan B, plan C. If you don't go with us or you go with somebody else, at least you know where it is that you have to make a decision. And ask for the sale. It says, I'd rather you go with us. I've invested an enormous amount of money and time educating you, looking at everything, evaluating you, evaluating your needs, evaluating your circumstances. Sure, I'm not the cheapest, but I'm not the most expensive. Or even if you are the most expensive, you're selling the most expensive brand, as long as the quality is there, you don't have to apologize for your price if you're delivering value and quality. People who buy Bentleys and Rolexes buy it because they want it, they can afford it, they don't need it, and they're willing to pay for it. You see, and there's nothing wrong with selling Lear jets. There's nothing immoral about selling Lear jets if you're selling convenience that the customer wants and he's willing to pay the millions of dollars that it takes to own it and maintain it. There's nothing wrong with that. This idea that somehow we got to sell a cheap product because we got to make it affordable. If your ability is to sell a product that hasn't been, if you're going to be a market disruptor, to sell a service or a product that traditionally hasn't been available to lower income people, but they need it and want it, and you can create a deliverable and a USP and a brand and say, I can deliver that product cheaper because of our process. We developed a process that allows us now to cut that cost and deliver it more efficiently based on route density, based on whatever, and you can deliver a better product. Sure, why not? It can be both ways. You just got to know that. So let's go over to the New Testament now and take this whole thing and summarize it, because Luke summarizes it. The Old Testament confirms the New Testament. The New Testament confirms the Old Testament. In Luke, let's go to Luke 14:28. Check this out. 14. Let's go. Yeah, here it goes. For which one of you, intending to build a tower, does not sit down first and count the cost, whether he has enough to finish it? In other words, do you have enough money to launch your business? That's going to depend on a lot of variables. One guy can start the same business as you for $10,000 and you're going to need 50. Why? Because he's a salesman. He understands marketing. He understands business. He's run a company this size before, and you were just a technician and you don't have sales experience. You don't have marketing experience. You don't have HR experience. You've never run a business. He's made a lot more mistakes than you. He can start with less and build up so quickly compared to you. See, you got to take your soft skills and all of your experience and evaluate it against that, not against somebody else. Do you have enough to get started? Can your wife work and support the family while your business is getting off the ground? Can you lower your lifestyle? A lot of you have a lifestyle that says, well, I've got the $300,000, $400,000 house and I got golden handcuffs. I need $100,000 a year. You better have $100,000 in the bank to pay yourself that whole year while you lift this thing up, because you can't afford to reduce. You can't give up the Mercedes. You can't give up the boat. You can't give up a lot of the things you have to get started. You've got golden handcuffs. Versus the guy who lives in an apartment or lives with mom and dad, has no expenses. He's saved up $10,000. He doesn't need a salary. He can live at home with mom and not need a salary. And sure, launch his business with no pressure. Do you have enough to start and finish? It is said that you need about 6 months worth of savings and 6 months worth of expenses. Ideally, you want 12 months of expenses in your business. That includes your salary. That includes everything you're going to need. Do you have that? Is there a workaround? Lest after he has laid the foundation and is not able to finish, all who see it begin to mock him. I told you we shouldn't get into this business. I told you you shouldn't go into that. I told you you shouldn't do it. This is what your mom will say, your uncle will say, your friends would say. I told you it was a bad idea. Do you have the stomach to deal with the failure? If you get the wise counsel, you build a solid plan, Do you have a great chance of failing? You still do. However, I would rather have a 50-50 chance than an 80-20. I would rather go into this eyes wide open, mind, heart completely engaged, knowing all of the truth and all of the facts, versus going in with a delusion of thinking what it's going to be like when we're successful and rich and fall flat on our face and have everybody laugh at us. Number 30, saying, this man began to build and was not able to finish. Or what king going to make war against another king does not sit down first and consider whether he is able with 10,000 to meet him, who comes against him with 20,000? Or else, while the other is still a great way off, he sends a delegation and asks for conditions of peace. You see, it's about you understanding yourself, you understanding the business you want to do, you understanding everything that gets involved. I'd be looking at accountants, lawyers, HR people, salespeople, marketing people, branding people, culture people that can create a culture. I'd be looking at talking and creating a list. Who can I talk to and sit down? Listen, if you have to sit down with them and pay them and say, I've got $1,000 set aside for consulting. Here's the biggest problem with a lot of you guys. You think that because you're good technicians and you know the technical work, whatever the technical work is, whether you're a baker, whether you're an electrician, whether you're a pest control person, whether you install garage doors, whether you mow lawns, it doesn't matter. The reality is you know the technical part. You don't know the business of the business. And what happens is you say, well, I'll just launch and all I need is this equipment and I can launch. And you go and launch and you're like, man, 6 months in, you're not making any money. Because you refused to pay, you didn't value that. You said, I'm not going to spend $1,000 talking to people. What a mistake to think that you actually know about sales, you know about marketing, you know about HR, you know about the law, you know everything you need to know about the accounting. Should I start up an LLC? Should I do a corp? Should I do an LLC with a C corp, an LLC with an S corp? These are all questions for your accountant. What contracts am I going to need? You can't write up your own contract sometimes. Because if there's a legal problem and you didn't get counsel, now counsel can't defend you because the lawyers are going to tear you apart in court because you wrote your own legal contract. What knowledge do you need in sales and marketing to really make this happen? Because if you're not a salesperson and you're not a recruiter, you're not a person that's going to go knock on doors, you're not a person that is going to talk to everybody because you're kind of introverted, then you need more marketing and you need more advertising. And do you go with SEO? Do you go with ads? You think you're going to buy 1,000 business cards, hand them out, and people are going to flock to you? Build it and they will come? It's not reality. I hear this 1,000 times when I'm talking to people about them starting their business. And they all tell me the same thing. And I said, you know what you're going to need at the end of this in 6 months is a bankruptcy attorney. Because you've got all these ideas and things that are not based on fact or reality or previous experience. They're based on something you conjured up in your head. Surround yourself with wise counselors. I mean, you do want to, think about this. I'm going to give you an idea of a USP in a blue ocean. You're going to build the next eco-friendly landscape company. Because this is new. This is what people are wanting. Why? You've got entire communities saying, we don't want gas-powered equipment. They're noisy. They pollute the environment. You can't go in before a certain time because those equipments make noise and people are sleeping. Can you imagine building the first all-green electric, 100% electric landscape company with electric trucks? They're coming. With electric ride-on mowers. They're here. With electric trimming equipment that is just as powerful as the gas. They're here. With solar panels to charge all the equipment all day long. It's here. Are you going to pay more for it? Yes. Are you going to have to charge? But think about it. You're going into a community. Zero noise pollution. Zero gas pollution. Zero blueprint as far as on site. Sure, there's the electrical that consumes and whatever electrical, whether it's, you got to charge some of your equipment. But think about most of this equipment can be charged with solar panels now. The entire roof of a truck that is enclosed can house all the solar panels you need to even charge the truck. That's a USP, a unique selling proposition. That's a green idea. That's disruptive. That's a blue ocean strategy. There are ways to accomplish what you want to do. You just got to know how to go about it. So I hope this guides you. I hope this helps you in your business and in launching your new business before you get started. When you're in your business, if you started and you're struggling, get the help. Get the help sooner than later. Don't wait until you're in a huge problem to get the help. Be prudent. The Bible talks about you being prudent. That's what it means to be prudent. If you don't have the money to start up, put $1,000 aside for an idea and run it by all these people. See what everybody says. Look at the pitfalls, pros and cons. Weigh it against the risk. Business is all about risk. But there's benefits and there's risk. And you have to weigh the benefits with the risk to see where your ROI is going to be, your return on investment. Hey, this is Frank with Godly Business, wishing you a blessed day.